Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of the Rappahannock. My name is Penny, and I'm delighted to be the service leader today for Marlie Avant. She will speak with us today about gravity, grit, and grace. UUFR is a caring community that embraces spiritual exploration and promotes Unitarian Universalist principles, say that 3 times fast, in our personal lives, in the fellowship, and in the world. To all who are here this morning, in person and via Zoom, welcome home. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, and whatever your life circumstance, you are welcome here. A special welcome to any first-time visitors. We invite you to stay for coffee, refreshments, and conversation after the service. If you're on Zoom, please mute yourself. If you're here in person, please silence your cell phones. Thank you. Announcements are in your bulletin. In these hard times, let us look first to the response of love. In the midst of challenge, may our chalice flame bear witness to the inherent worth and dignity of every human being. In the midst of uncertainty, may our chalice be a beacon of encouragement, that our values may guide our choices. Let us look first to the response of love. Our opening words today are from Rebecca Edmiston Lang. Come into this place which we make holy by our presence. Come in with all your vulnerabilities and strengths, fears and anxieties, loves and hopes. For here you need not hide, nor pretend, nor be anything other than who you are and are called to be. Come into this place where we can touch and be touched, heal and be healed, forgive and be forgiven. Come into this place where the ordinary is sanctified, the human is celebrated, the compassionate is expected. Come into this place. Together we make it a holy place. Our speaker today is Marlie Avant. Marlie and her husband Roy moved to Cobbs Creek 2.5 years ago and were thrilled to find the fellowship here at UUFR. I'm not sure that you can hear me. They have 1 son here in Virginia, 4 granddaughters, and 2 great-granddaughters in California. It's a good thing. The heart knows no bounds. Marlie read that. It's really cool. Marlie's topic today is gravity, grit, and grace, the art of aging consciously. We will discover how aging can be a vibrant, intentional journey where the body may change, but the mind remains youthful and resilient. Through stories and practical wisdom, we can begin to realize how conscious aging enables us to meet life's challenges with grit and grace, challenging assumptions about decline, sharing strategies for mental vitality, and reimagining aging as a time of growth, connection, and creative possibility. We'll explore cultivating thoughtful awareness, making purposeful choices, and practicing self-compassion, leading us towards an ageless mind and a joyful spirit throughout our entire lives. Marlie?
Thank you, Penny. Okay. Well, here we are. Thank you for being here, for being brave enough to come to a talk on aging. My reading is from an excerpt from John O'Donohue's Anam Cara, and Anam Cara means soul friend. Stillness is vital to the care of the soul. If, as you age, you become more still, you will discover that stillness can become a great companion. The fragments of your life will have time to unify, and the place where your soul shelter is wounded or broken will have time to knit and heal. You will be able to engage your soul. Many people miss out on knowing themselves completely. As they journey through life, they know others, they know places, they know skills, they know work, they know the news. But tragically, they do not know themselves at all. Aging can be a lovely time of ripening when you actually meet yourself. Indeed, maybe for the first time. There are beautiful lines from T.S. Eliot that say, "And the end of all exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time." Today, I invite us to an honest, heartfelt exploration of conscious aging. What if aging is not a slow fading, but a new invitation, an opening into a deeper, more authentic connection with ourselves and with each other? In a culture that often looks past elder wisdom, we pause and acknowledge the gravity which grounds us, the grit that enables us to not only persevere, but to grow more resilient from within, and the grace that crowns our lives. Indeed, life is an artful dance between what weighs us down and what lifts us up, between challenge and quiet strength. In the space between difficulty and delight, we find new layers of vulnerability, compassion, openness, and connection. Let's begin with gravity as I share a story about Ishi. Ishi was a Native American who was part of the Yahi tribe in Northern California. His tribe became functionally extinct in the late 1800s due to the California gold rush. With a few remaining family members, Ishi escaped into the wilderness and decades later became the last remaining Yahi. Early one morning in 1911, an elder now, he appeared disoriented and almost naked in the northern town of Oroville, California. Not long after, the anthropologist, Alfred Kroeber, took the train to Oroville and brought Ishi back to Berkeley, where Kroeber was a professor. He wanted to learn everything he could about Ishi. Ishi was friendly and warm-hearted, and people were amazed at his ease and capacity to adapt to this totally new environment. When someone gave him a coat, he would gladly put it on, but when offered shoes, he politely refused. Kroeber referred to him as having inward spirit. Ishi was quick to learn, and eventually they were able to communicate with words. When Kroeber asked him his name, he would not answer, for it was not the custom to give his name to anyone outside of his tribe. Kroeber asked if he could call him Ishi, which simply means man, and Ishi agreed. When Kroeber had first brought him to the station, Ishi had hid behind a pillar when the train arrived. He later only came out when Kroeber told him it was time to board. Now that they could talk together, Kroeber asked Ishi why he had hidden that day behind the pillar. Ishi said, "Well, we used to see trains from the mountains with their fire and billowing smoke, and we thought that they were monsters and that they ate people. So we always stayed away from them." Then Kroeber asked, Well, how did you gather the courage to get on the train with me? Ishi then said something inspiring. I was more curious than afraid. I was more curious than afraid. We could liken that train to the fears that many have around aging and dying. Like Ishi, we would be wise to cultivate the spirit of curiosity as we climb aboard the remaining years of our lives, traveling towards a mysterious unknown. Let's look again at Ishi as we honor the weight of living. Certainly he faced many harsh realities. The weight and gravity of losing family, his tribe, his way of life. Our lives are not what they used to be. How do we remain grounded through such challenges? One hint is there in Ishi's story, politely refusing to put the shoes on. He wanted his feet to be bare so he could feel the earth beneath them. What a beautiful metaphor. As we feel the trials and tribulations again aging can bring, we can remain deeply connected to this earth, to nature. She has so many lessons to teach us. We become like a mighty tree, deeply rooted and inwardly strong. Even in the midst of threatening storms, we develop a deep inner spirit when we are out there and commune with nature. As rings on a tree, our lives are marked by both storms, endured, and seasons of growth. Ishi reminds us not to turn away from the ache of change, the loss of dreams, and the accumulation of sorrows that have scarred and shaped us. Outside the window, fall is in the air. The leaves are beginning to turn. In the Celtic tradition, autumn is most closely aligned with age. It is also known as the harvesting, a time of harvesting the essence of our identity and experiences in life. John O'Donohue writes, aging is not merely about the body losing its poise, strength, and self-trust. Aging also invites you to become aware of the sacred circle that shelters your life. With the harvest circle, you are able to gather lost moments and experiences, bring them together, and hold them as one. Aging can be a time of great strength, poise, and confidence. One of the arts worth cultivating in this time of harvest is awareness, or the ability to observe the flow of life around us without imposing our habitual biases, perspectives, attitudes, and assumptions. Ishi showed not only curiosity, but remained open to the new world around him and within him. He remained witness to what was unfolding, letting go of assumptions and biases and fears, and he remained firmly rooted. How you view your future actually shapes it. Natural wisdom seems to suggest that the way you are towards your life is the way that life will be towards you. Old age is a time of second innocence. You know the hardship of life, the incredible capacity for it to disappoint, yet we still maintain an outlook that is wholesome and hopeful and bright. And it takes grit. Grit is the quiet courage, humor, and spirit that pulls us through difficult days. It's the spark that keeps us moving, loving, and laughing when the road gets rocky. Resilience built over decades is something to celebrate. We have earned the right to own our lives. I see grit in this fellowship, in how we show up for one another, persist through challenges, and lean on each other as we need. Vulnerability is not a weakness. It is how grit meets gravity. Even in deep adversity, elders can transform suffering into wisdom and connection. Grit opens the way for grace to enter, not just for ourselves, but for others. Before we move to grace, I would like to talk about emptiness. Not as a void, but as a quality of openness that is receptive to the deeper subtleties of what life is. Can we see aging as a profound spiritual opportunity, a chance to unburden ourselves and transcend ego, and to cultivate the wisdom of elderhood and our inner spirit even as the body declines? We must begin by quieting our minds, by relaxing our knowingness. All sages say that greater wisdom comes when we admit that we don't know everything. A Zen story captures this beautifully. A university professor once visited a Zen master, saying that he was eager to learn about emptiness. Barely taking a breath, the professor proceeded talking on, filling the air with his vast wealth of knowledge and opinions. Finally, the Zen master said, "Let us have a cup of tea, and then we shall talk." The professor held out his cup, and the master poured, filling the cup to the brim and then continuing to pour, allowing the tea to spill out onto the floor. "It's overflowing. Stop. No more can go in," protested the professor. "Yes, it is so," said the master. "Just as this cup is full to overflowing, so is your mind filled with opinions and speculations, leaving no room to receive the teachings. Only when you empty your cup can it be filled." Angel Deer wrote, "This is the paradox of true transformation. You cannot walk into it full. The vessel must be emptied. The masks must be dropped. The old stories, as familiar as they are, must be unstitched. And often, what we cling to the most must be released and offered on the altar of transformation. This is a sacred time for emptying our cups, for quieting our minds, for opening to grace, for making space for what is to come. We need both gravity and grit to do this work, to take an honest but gentle look at ourselves. Some of us meditate and witness how our minds jump from one thought to another. Sitting as witness to these thoughts helps us to see that they are more like clouds drifting through a clear blue sky. Gradually, we realize that we are more than our thoughts and wonder, who is the one witnessing them? We begin to identify with the open, spacious, clear sky, not the clouds. But what of buried emotions? How do we address them? Emotional triggers can be gateways on our path to awakening. An emotional trigger is any stimulus, thought, memory, event, or interaction that activates an intense emotional reaction, often disproportionate to the present situation. I'm sure most of us have felt those triggers. These reactions originate in unresolved psychological wounds, core beliefs, or past trauma, and serve as signals that point to deeper patterns needing attention, patterns that often drive our behavior. By leaning into the discomfort with Ishi's curiosity and compassion. They reveal parts of the self that are asking for our attention, our presence, our love and forgiveness and acceptance. I am compelled to shift to another story to illustrate what I'm talking about. Today, Marlie chose Amazing Grace for our last hymn. Did you know that almost all Black spirituals are written just using the 5 black keys on the piano? It's true. They built the power and pathos of the Black spiritual using only 5 black notes. In early America, the white composers called it the slave scale. We know it as the pentatonic scale. The lyrics to Amazing Grace were written by John Newton, who was the captain of a slave ship. Now, interestingly, if you look up the song, you will find words by John Newton, melody unknown. But perhaps we do know who wrote that melody. Perhaps John Newton heard the cries and moans of the slaves crammed beneath the slave ship, the sound of chains rattling and drums beating to keep them on course as they moved towards their dark destiny. I imagine those cries worked their ways into John Newton's heart like a dirge, and he wept, and he was emptied. And then, unburdened, he was graced with the lyrics that changed his life forever. We cannot turn away from the cries of the world, and we cannot turn away from the cries that have been silenced within us. Within us, we carry the silent cries of the child who had no way of expressing in words what it was going through. The silent cries of the child who was abandoned or abused or felt hungry and frightened and alone. The silent cries of the child who was made to feel ashamed or to feel unworthy. Like the slaves on that slave ship, these silent cries were, through no fault of our own, many of them banished to the dark recesses of our unconscious. It is important that, like John Newton, we have the courage to listen to them, to let them work their way into our humbled hearts, so that grace then can have its way with us. Each of us carries silent cries into our adulthood, echoes of forgotten fears, loneliness, and longing. As we age, these cries resurface in unexpected ways, in how we love, grieve, search for longing. To recognize and tend to our old wounds is to embrace the gravity of our story, to forget ourselves, to forgive ourselves for unkindness, for impatience, or simply for being imperfect. It takes grit, the perseverance to show up and love again. When healing finally comes, it is pure grace, a spiritual blessing that softens what was once hardened and lets us move forward, lighter and more whole. We are bound together by these stories, by the silent cries we all carry. And when we allow grace in, we see it's not just our song, but a shared hymn rising from the hearts of humanity. Just as John Newton listened deeply to the cries within and around him, just as Ishi honored both fear and curiosity, we are invited to gently listen too. The silent cries we carry, old and new, ask only for our compassionate presence. Tara Brach, who is a psychologist and also leans towards Buddhism and their teachings, offers a practice she calls RAIN that can help us. It's a tool that helps us meet our most tender places and allow grace to grow. RAIN stands for R, recognizing what's happening and gently naming the pain or the emotion. A, allow it. Allow what arises and moves in you to be there as it is without rushing to fix it or to judge it. Be a silent, compassionate witness to what arises. I, investigate with care and curiosity, as Ishi did as he boarded the train. What needs attention? Not fixing. Where do I feel this in my body? What does this part need from me? N, nurture. Nurture with kindness, offering a message of reassurance and compassion and love. By practicing rain, we can tend the silent cries within us, leaning into, not away from, and we honor and heal those parts of ourselves that need our attention. This, too, is grace, a sacred meeting with suffering and compassion, a way to turn old wounds into wisdom and new possibilities for a deeper connection, not only with ourselves, but with each other. The rain and the warmth of our compassion helps us to flower. John O'Donohue wrote, "It is a wonderful day in life when one is finally able to stand before the long, deep mirror of one's own reflection and view oneself with appreciation, acceptance, and forgiveness. On that day, one breaks through the falsity of images and expectations which have blinded one's spirits. One can only learn to see who one is. When one learns to view oneself with the most intimate and forgiving compassion, awareness liberates us from our limited self." I have found myself, and surely you have too, while glancing into someone's eyes, caught for an instant, pulled in as if seeing for the first time, something that I can describe, but no, I can't describe it, but it's something so familiar. And in that pause, that space of time or no time, something within me softens and recognizes. And I am reminded of how precious life is, how connected we all are. Could it be that the one seeing you is the same one seeing me? And I wonder who is seeing through both of us? And who am I? Who are you really? Have you ever reflected on that question? If so, I'm sure you will first discover who you are not. And then you discover who you are, and it is so freeing. I remember when I first moved to California, I apprenticed with an artist named George DeGroat. I had a rather ambitious painting I wanted to undertake, and he guided me through it. Little did I know the theme of my painting would be my personal focus for many years to come. The painting was of the back of a woman sitting at a vanity table, looking in a mirror. The floor was a black and white checkerboard, and strewn across it were masks. The woman was in the process of removing the last mask from her face, her hand sliding over the top of her head. The curious thing was that there was no reflection of her face in the mirror. Like Ishi, I remained curious. Years later, I came to know the Sufi and author Llewellyn Vaughan-Lee. One of the many books he wrote was called The Face Before I Was Born. Little did I know that I had been on a a journey to recover my essential nature, the face before I was born. I believe we are all on that journey, and our aging can help us. We begin to shed what no longer serves us, the masks, the stories, the old destructive patterns, the burdens that have weighed us down. Perhaps our forgetting is simply a way that grace helps us to let go and focus more deeply. Grace meets us where our strength wears thin, softening our stories, calling us to forgiveness, humility, and growth. Life's final chapter can be luminous, turning inward, our hearts open and flower, nurtured by our own presence. Our burdens melt, and we bask in pure essence, where the veil is finally lifted and love shows us the face before we were born. Such love is a healing balm. It is our greatest legacy. It penetrates the heart of the world and breathes forth a silent blessing upon our children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, and future generations. It inspires everyday acts of kindness, inviting others to give, forgive, and nurture hope in the ordinary rhythms of life. It weaves the golden thread of belonging through the fabric of eternity. As Cicero so wisely wrote, "Old age, the crown of life, our play's last act. May it be beautiful, for you are all indeed beautiful." And so it is. Thank you.
Because we had so much to say during Joys and Concerns, we have not a lot of time now, but I do want to have some time for discussion. I had so many things that I was going. It's kind of like the way my grandparents aged was not the same way my parents aged, and I knew I had to figure out my own way, and I have, but when I realized that, it was really scary. So, all right, open it up to other folks.
Thank you so much. That was absolutely wonderful. And I want to thank you so much for bringing Ishi into these rooms. That is one of my favorite books. I've read it so many times, and he was just such a wonderful character. And the curiosity of him leaving something so, he didn't know what he was going to be going into. Just such a brave person. So thank you for giving us Ishi.
What I heard you say, and what I find for myself, which sometimes is a struggle, is to allow yourself to be reborn every moment. Thank you.
Somebody else? We do have time for a few more.
So in our culture, men can age gracefully, and we know women are, but in neo-paganism and Wiccan, there's actually a ceremony, a croning ceremony for older women. Once you go through menopause and you're revered, it's equally as important as the other stages of your life, and we need to get that more into our culture too.
So I'm reminded when I think of aging and I think of leading into death, I'm reminded of my beliefs. Now, these are my beliefs, but maybe you'll find something in them. We come from the spirit world. We're given this body. We have to learn how to use this body. And it takes us a while to figure out how to walk, crawl, even how to use our sphincter muscles. And then towards the end of our lives, after we've accomplished all these things and we've become masters of all this, our new lesson is in letting go of that, accepting that nothing in this life is permanent. It's all temporary. It's a gift, but it's a temporary gift. That we're not of this world. We're spirits having a human experience. And that when the warranty comes up on this body, we need to find another vessel somewhere else. And so leaning into, with grace, the idea that I'm not supposed to hold on to this forever. This isn't mine to keep forever. And I think the more that you can lean into that discomfort and breathe through and accept, the more graceful you can leave the world.
As I extinguish this chalice, allow yourself to carry these words with you. If we would but allow the majesty of creation to be, it would bless us. If we would incorporate the myriad aspects of creation, instead of trying to incarcerate them, the war would end. If we could accept ourselves, maybe then we would accept others. If all these questions add up to confusion, all these answers add up to one affirmation: love life, and it will bless you. All right, for my closing words today, I have 3 short quotes. First one from Margaret Deland. I have made a rule about such things, which I commend to you, young man. As soon as you feel too old to do a thing, do it. Next one is from Maggie Kuhn. Old age is an excellent time for outrage. My goal is to say or do at least one outrageous thing every week. For myself, every day is also good. And I don't know, we don't have a source for this one. Forget about aging gracefully. Let's age gratefully. True. Marlie has some words to add.
This again is my favorite John O'Donohue. May we trust the mystery. May we let ourselves be shaped and surprised and greet each new bend in the river with openness, courage, and gratitude. And so it is.